welcome. If you are new here, thank you for clicking on the video. Hope that everyone finds this helpful. Give a like and subscribe, and click the notification bell if you want to be notified of the next video. This is just a short video on development operations. For those that don't know, DevOps, development operations, is essentially the crossroads intersection of development, which is writing code, writing software, and IT support. And IT support encompasses many things, but in this regard, IT support would be, installing software and setting up environments. In today's software landscape, you need to be able to set up your own development environment, and you need to be able to install your own software. Unless you work for a very large company, such as an Amazon or Facebook or Meta, you are going to be needing to install your own software and set things up yourself, unless you work for one of those companies where they would give you a laptop and everything would probably be ready to go for you. So that is going to be different depending on what kind of computer you're using. If you are using a Windows machine, it's going to differ slightly than if you are using a Mac OS or a Linux-based operating system. However, regardless of which kind of computer you are using, you will eventually need to know how to do this. So it's a good idea to start wrapping your head around that now and start looking into what that looks like for you. And I bring this up because this was not talked about a lot when I was going through my learning journey. And so I wanted to help those who might be at the same place where you're trying to move past that beginner level. Maybe you took some online courses. There's tons of online resources that are very helpful for learning programming concepts. Some of them are W3 Schools. Scrimba has online courses, and those are great for learning concepts, right? Because you can go there, and I'll just point out W3 Schools because I use that a lot. And when you're here, you can go to these try it yourself pages, and you can enter code here and hit run, and it runs it and renders it in this next page over here, right? That's great for learning, but eventually this is not going to be enough. You're going to need to have a development environment set up on your computer in order to develop and have your files there with you. You can't rely on a browser forever. So one of the most important things that developers use and need to use is what's called an IDE, an integrated development environment. And there's many of these out there. I use VS Code. VS Code, Visual Studio Code, is very popular. It's very helpful. There are many others, and this is a great example of kind of the top contenders for most helpful and most popular integrated development environments. And essentially what these are is an application, a special application that you open up to write your code with. And I'll show you, here's my Visual Studio Code. And this is what Visual Studio Code looks like. This is what an IDE looks like. They vary slightly in their layouts, but essentially what you have is you have a file explorer where you can look at all of the different files. And then you'd have whatever files are open, listed somewhere. And then you'd have whatever file you're currently viewing would be here. Let's go ahead and I'll add a file, new file, and I'll just say javascript.js. And here is a JavaScript file. So I would type my code, and you can see that the IDE has different color codings for things. You can do like import, and you see that's a different color. Import asterisk from, and then path name. Right, as I'm typing code, the IDE is kind of like color coding things for me. This is part of what an IDE does. Once you get into, once you have other packages installed, and you're importing from them and exporting and all that, you also have what's called IntelliSense, and that is where your IDE will actually give you suggestions as to what you might be trying to do. I'm curious to see without, yeah, so you can see here, even without installing anything, my IDE, Visual Studio Code, is saying, hey, we recognize this word document as being something special, and here's a list of things that we know that are associated with document dot in a JavaScript file, and these are actually methods of the document object from JavaScript, the built-in document object in JavaScript. And so you can see how this could be helpful as you're developing to have this IntelliSense recommendations, because if you forget exactly how something is spelt, then you can hit the dot, and then this will help fill it in for you. And using some other languages that are more strongly typed than JavaScript, or writing some prop name, some special code to define what things should be taking and giving. It also will help you reduce errors by saying, hey, you're trying to do something that you can't do or shouldn't do, such as if you defined a variable equals, and then you put a value in there, and then you try to do it again later, you can see it's saying, hey, what are you doing? You've already done that. And so this is why the IDEs are always used. You are almost never going to be developing in a text file. Those days have long since sailed. So this is what an IDE is. This is what it kind of looks like to use one. Now it's important that you find out how to install one on your machine, get familiar with that process, and pick one and start playing around with it. I hope that you have found this video helpful. If you did, then please give a like. Comment below with any questions. Head to my website, consultingninja.tech, where I have lots of free resources, and you also can message me directly with any problems you run into. All right, you guys have a great day.